Hey, what's up guys? Adrian here, and today we're going to talk about my new blog slash vlog slash both. Don't know exactly what it's going to be yet, but pretty much whatever you guys decide you like more is what I'm going to stick with. I might stick with both for a while. If, everybody hates all of it, then I'll probably just stick to the vlog or the blog, and then whichever one I don't stick with is just going to die. For now, it's going to be really simple, and I have my blog posts, and then I'm going to have my vlog posts, and they're going to be exactly the same. So anybody that wants to read them can go read them, and anybody that wants to watch them can stay here and watch them. Either way, it's up to you. Hopefully you guys like it. We're going to get started. So I'm going to make an assumption and assume that all of you already know who I am. Otherwise, how did you get here? I'm assuming you're either following me on Instagram or YouTube already. If that's the case, then you're probably following me for movement because that's pretty much all I've done. But now I'm gonna get into some other things. And first off, with this blog, we're just gonna go way back. I asked for questions for a little Q&A, and I never made that video because I ran out of space on my phone. It just turned into a big pain. I didn't want to deal with it. I turned it into a blog post, and then I decided, you know what? I don't think a lot of people are gonna read a blog out of nowhere from me. I'm sure a vast majority of you just don't want to read it. So those of you that want to read it can go check it out. Those of you that don't, I'm just gonna put it in video form right here. So for the sake of time, I'm not gonna be answering every single question that was asked because I got like 130 of them or something like that. I'm also gonna be combining a few of the questions. Even if I don't specifically say that, I will be answering multiple questions within the answers of some questions. I hope that makes sense. If not, don't worry about it. It won't be confusing as you watch through this. So the first question is, who is my favorite freerunner? And I gotta say, that is a tough question to answer. Over the years, I've gone through a ton of different favorite freerunners, and even still, it's constantly changing. People coming in and out of the game, me just kind of changing my style, changing what I like to see. So it's constantly evolving. One of the guys that's always been on the very top of my list is Shade's Lot. That guy is amazing. While I was thinking about this question, there was something that I noticed is really common for me, and that is I enjoy watching people that love movement. Pretty much whoever looks like they're enjoying their movement the most, that is my favorite freerunner. I love to watch them enjoy the process of moving. Shade is one of those guys that every single time I see him move, it seems like he's just having the time of his life, and it's infectious. I love watching it, and it's extremely inspiring. I can literally watch that guy forever. I'm glad he's starting to post again because that's my kind of movement. There's a couple other guys that honestly right now I could just watch their movement for days on end, and they also seem to just love movement every time they go out, and that is Sean Bautista and Endis. Both of those guys, absolute superhuman level for two completely different things. Sean is more on the flips acro side, and Endis is more on like the technical, challenging parkour side of things. Either way, they're both having just tons of fun out there, and it's straight up inspiring stuff. I like easy questions. I'm 27 years old and I've been training for about 9 years. So when I was 20, 21, around that age, I was still pretty new to parkour, and I really wasn't very goal-oriented. That's just not where my mind was. Honestly, all I really cared about is that I could train as much as humanly possible, as much training as I could fit in. That's all I cared about. So every decision I made, every goal that I had was just to free up more time that I could train. Honestly, that's all I wanted to do, and that's pretty much all I did. I didn't want to get a job. The job that I had, I tried to work as minimally as possible. Even when I started coaching, I was like, look, I just want to train as much as I can. Don't give me too many coaching hours. I just want to train. Back then, I didn't really have an end goal in mind, and in hindsight, that kinda was a mistake, in my opinion. I think if I was a little more goal-oriented back then, I could have progressed quite a bit faster, not only in parkour, but just in life in general. But instead, I just wanted to, literally all I wanted to do was just get out and train, and there was no purpose behind it. It wasn't purpose-driven, it's just what I love to do, so that's what I did. Now, with that said, you can never predict the future. I don't know what would have happened if I was more goal-oriented. I don't know if I would be in a worse spot now because of that. So going back, I wouldn't change a thing. I would have kept doing what I did, and I enjoyed training, had fun, and that's really all that matters. So right now, one of my main goals is to build a passive income stream of some kind, or multiple passive income streams, with the hopes that I can keep traveling, training, and coaching as much as humanly possible, because those are the things that I absolutely love doing, and the more I can do that, the better for me. It would be dope if this blog/vlog series could be one of those passive income streams, but being perfectly honest, I don't think that it will. That doesn't really matter to me though, because this is just fun for me. I love using this as an outlet to just get my thoughts down, either on paper, on video, and just kind of talk about my experiences and hopefully share some of my knowledge for anybody new and upcoming that wants to hear it. Hopefully that will benefit some of you guys, and if not, it just feels good to do for myself, so it's kind of a win-win. One of the biggest challenges that I've been running into with trying to build these passive income streams is that everything that I'm doing is very, very front-loaded. Basically, I have to do all of the work and not get any of the reward until it's completely finished. And there's a couple things that go with that. One, it's kind of nerve-wracking because I don't know if any of it'll take off, and it might just be a waste of time. Either way, I'll have learned some stuff, so that's not too big of a deal. But the bigger problem comes with the fact that I keep getting opportunities to travel. So I then have to make the decision of, do I go and travel and put all of this work on pause, all of this kind of end goal stuff that I'm working on with the passive income streams, and put that on pause and go do what I love doing, then get back to it when I come back? Or do I cancel the trips, say no, stay home, and work towards that end goal? The problem is I want to do both. I don't want to cancel the trips, and I don't want to put the work on pause. If I try to combine them and work while I'm on the trip, that's going to take away from the quality of work that I do, as well as the quality of the experience that traveling gives me. So I get the worst of both worlds instead of the best of both worlds. So I don't want to combine them, and I don't want to cancel them. Kind of a first world problem, I'm not gonna lie, but that is a really big challenge that I've been facing. I decided not to go to Airwhip this year so that I could continue working on my online projects. Hopefully the decision to stay home and work instead of going on as many trips as I possibly can will pay off in the long run. And the big thing that made me decide that I wanted to focus on the end goal instead of going on the trips right now is that if in the future I say, dang, I regret not going to Airwhip, or I regret not going here because I was working on these projects, that will mean that these projects failed. And I don't really think everything that I'm working on is gonna fail. One or two of them might, but I will just go to the next thing and I'll make it work eventually. With that said, if I'm successful in doing what I wanna do, then I can travel wherever I wanna go at that point in time, because I'll have these passive income streams. So if I go now, then it pushes things back. If I don't go now and I regret it later, that means I failed. If I just succeed, I'm good to go. No worries if I missed out on a trip here or there, I can just go in the future. So the trick that took me the longest to learn outside has got to be a front flip. It sounds kind of weird because it's one of the basic free running moves, is a front flip or a back flip. But for me, front flips are kind of like ollies in skateboarding. It's that foundational building block. And once you land it, once you perfect it, the floodgates just open. And all of these moves start coming left and right. And I would say front flip and back flip are the two base movements. Once you get those on lock, you can learn anything that you want. For me, back flip came relatively easily. Front flip took forever. My first ever attempts were way back in elementary school. I would just huck them onto the grass and I would be super lucky not to land on my butt. Like 99% of the time I would just smack land on my butt. The other 1% of the time my feet would hit the ground and I'd put my hands down behind me just before my butt hit. And I'd be like, yes, I got it. Now it wasn't until I was like 18 or 19 that I actually landed my first clean front flip. So that's like a 10-year difference or something ridiculous like that. Now, granted, I wasn't working on front flips every single day. I wasn't drilling them with a purpose. I was just kind of working on them back then, and throughout the next few years, I would work on them a little more. And I took a few, like a 3-year break in between where I didn't do any movement. But either way, front flips are a move that I've been working on longer than any other, and they definitely took me the longest to learn. But it was well worth it because I love front flips now. So the question is how to effectively come back from an injury after you've been down for a while, and how to start training again. Now, I gotta say, I am the wrong person to talk about as far as injuries go. I've only had one major injury and a few minor injuries. The major one is I broke my arm within like the first year of training, and then a couple minor ones. I think I broke my hand and I think I broke my foot. The hand and foot were very, very minor, and I could still jump on them without any real pain. And the arm, I was not smart with. I pretty much started training as soon as I felt like I could hold it up on my own without cradling it in the cast. In fact, my very first parkour video was me doing parkour with a cast on my arm. I think I took about 2 weeks off and just took the medicine they gave me, took the painkillers, and slept most of the time. But every waking moment I was watching parkour videos, getting hyped to go train, and as soon as I could get outside again, I started training. I don't recommend that whatsoever. If you're out there, if you're injured, take your time, heal up properly. There's all the time in the world and absolutely no reason to pull a Joey and just risk re-injuring yourself and being out for another month. Let it heal up, get your strength back, work on some strengthening drills, make sure you're strong, start doing very basic movements again. Once you know you can get into the more intense stuff without any pain at all, then you're good to go. But if you start to feel any pain, just relax, take a chill pill, don't worry about it. Remember, you got your whole life to practice movement, so there's no reason to waste another month just because you jumped in too quickly. Take your time, heal up. The time traveling question. Would I go back and change something in my life with the knowledge that I have now and the experiences that I have now? And that's a really deep question. That's not easy to answer, because depending on what the rules are in this hypothetical situation, I might do it, I might not. Now, if it didn't affect anything, it would have to affect something. So given the probability of the butterfly effect, I wouldn't risk going back and changing anything, because I'm really happy with where I am right now. And I think if I went back and kind of meddled in the past, even if I was trying to get a better outcome, I don't want to risk losing the outcome that I have now, if that makes sense. With that said, if I could guarantee a better outcome, then I would probably go back to like 6th grade, because that's when I was doing really stupid stuff and my life kind of just did one of these. Turned out great, but yeah, from 6th grade till like I was 18, everything was pretty terrible. So I'd go back and I'd, you know, pop some knowledge into my head about what I should be doing. So as far as the future of parkour is concerned, whether it'll go into the Olympics, whether there'll be more or less competitions, more or less gyms, that kind of thing, I personally think there's just a huge push towards competitions right now. I think they're a huge mainstay in the sport, and they will be around pretty much forever. I don't think there's enough funding for them right now. In fact, the prize money has been going down since last year, and that could be because some of the sponsors are dropping out. I think the biggest issue is that they're just not fun to watch right now. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, watching a parkour competition is just boring. Our commentators aren't that great, though I will say they're getting better. I'm looking at guys like Frosty, Josh Dowie did a great job, and Jesse LaFleur I think is absolutely amazing at it. And that's kind of the main issue right now with style, aside from maybe a few formatting issues or course problems. But I think as long as the course is amazing, we have just insane style athletes, and just let them show off, let them showcase their skills and show what they want to do. Don't confine them too much, just let them put on a great show and get amazing commentators to just boost them and really put them on that platform that they deserve. Now, speed competitions are, in general, just really boring to watch. Now, I don't even say this like subjectively, I kind of say it objectively for most speed competitions. And that's just because you watch a ton of different athletes run the exact same course pretty much in the exact same way. Now, if you're really into the speed side of things, or if you're just really into parkour whatsoever, you can see all these tiny little nuances and things like that, but most people just don't care and they don't want to watch the same thing over and over again. Now, events like Hop the Block, where two people are running side by side and like it looks like, you know, they're edging each other out, that's a much more exciting way to run a speed competition. I personally would hate to do a speed competition like that, but as far as, you know, purely talking spectator standpoint, that is much funner to watch, and I think that has a future. I also believe that skill competitions are very, very fun to watch. Just seeing a bunch of athletes try to do the hardest skills that they can, the hardest challenges that the competition can find, I think that is a really exciting thing to watch and has a big future. Now, Air Whip, I think, is doing absolutely insane things for the sport. They level up their competition every single year, and they're one of the only competitions that I really think has everything just really well done. The course is amazing, the commentators are amazing, the live stream is fun to watch, the in-house experience, like while you're there, is awesome, the athlete experience is awesome, the athletes are amazing, the music is bumping, the crowd is huge, everything is awesome with Air Whip. I also think that NAPC has some really, really, really good aspects, and they're really trying to push for that big qualifier. They want to get as many people to the qualifiers as they can so that they're reaching the most amount of people that they can. I think a lot of work needs to be done with that still, but I truly believe that they're just big stepping stones. So we have NAPC as one big stepping stone, we have Air Whip as another big stepping stone. I think that the next big event that comes along is going to take everything that NAPC did well, take everything that Air Whip did well, combine those and drop all the downsides and just make the next level competition, and hopefully really focus on the viewer experience, because the more eyes we can get on those live streams, the more sponsors we can get, and the better we can make these competitions in the long run. Now, aside from competitions, obviously, I think gyms are just taking over the planet. There's gonna be one in every major city in absolutely no time. Everybody's gonna have somewhere to train, and I think that's a really good thing as long as we can keep the coaching level, the coaching standard really high. And we have very qualified coaches who know how to guide the students, not just teach them and tell them what to do, but really guide them as athletes. I also hope that the coaches push the students to go train outside and kind of get a feel for that real life environment, so that, you know, it just kind of opens their brains up to what it's like to train outside of a modular gym. Absolutely love this question. How do you train safe outside without, you know, a gym to go to, without spotters, without a mat? Now, I love this question, but it's a pretty simple answer. You just go slower. That sounds kind of stupid, but really, you just break everything down and you take a longer time to learn each thing. For instance, if you are learning a backflip with a mat, you can just jump to your back over and over again and slowly get comfortable with turning that into a backflip. If you're outside, you can't just jump to your back, right? It's gonna hurt. So instead of that, you have to really break it down to its core elements, learn those handstands, learn those cartwheels, turn the cartwheels into back handsprings, then evolve the back handspring into a back flip. Inside, you can skip all those steps and get a backflip really quickly because it's safe. Outside, you have to do all of that learning on your own, and so it's gonna feel like it takes so much more time, but you're also learning a ton more skills. I would describe my style in one word: lines. No, but honestly, just ever since I started, I've always been focused on just creating lines. Whether they're short lines, long lines, whatever it is, I just like to get into that flow state while I'm moving. If you guys want to listen a little bit more about how I developed that style and how I got really really excited about making lines and why that's kind of how I've been training from the start, check out the blog post. I go a little bit more in depth on, you know, kind of how I got into that with my buddy Sam. So creating longer lines is actually really simple. Just go to a spot, create 2 lines, and then put them together, and now you have a longer line. No, but honestly, it's literally as simple as that. You just create 2 lines, jam them together. Now you have a little space between these 2 lines, and that is where you just figure out that one transition. That's all you have to do. Seriously, a lot of my longer lines is exactly that. Just 2 short lines, maybe even 3 short lines that I really like each of those lines, and then they're kind of separated in distance. So I just kind of figure out what transition moves I like to link them all together. Another thing that I like to do is really just kind of challenge myself with specific number of moves, trying to keep the moves relatively easy, like not doing too many flips, not doing too many like spin moves so I won't get too dizzy, but just trying to put together like 20 or 30 moves. I suggest just starting with 20 and really keeping it chill and just putting them together in whatever way you can to minimize the steps. Try to take less than 3 steps between each of the moves and get to that 20 mark. As far as how important is breathing, obviously it's really important because you'll die if you don't, but during lines, I really don't think it's that important for shorter lines that a lot of people do, like these 5 to 10 second lines or combos. It's really not that important, to be honest. But once you start getting into like the 15 to 45 second lines, that's when you must learn how to properly breathe and take kind of these breathing resets that I've talked about before in your line to make sure that you have enough air just flowing through your body to finish the line without passing out and dying. A really simple way to do this is just take a deep breath every time you do a simple move. Now, expanding on that, make sure that you put a simple move, something that you can pretty much do in your sleep, before you do every big move. So if you're gonna do a double side, for example, do something like a side flip before that or a lazy vault before that. And during that lazy vault, take a deep breath, then take a couple steps, hit the double side. All right, everyone, that just about wraps up the Q&A. Now, there were quite a few questions about how to land specific movements or how to start spinning and twisting and things like that. I didn't want to get too into that because I will be creating tons of tutorials that are going to go alongside my online academy. I'm going to be creating more tutorials here on YouTube as well as on my website. So keep an eye out for those, and I will be going more in depth on those questions in those tutorials. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I had fun making it at the very least. If you did, drop a comment. If you have any more questions, drop another comment. And if you guys want to learn anything, let me know. I'll be sure to look at every comment. If I don't reply, that's just because I don't have anything to say to that comment. But other than that, I'll try to be answering everybody that has a question, and I'll be making more videos as well as many, many more blog posts coming. I already have a good lineup coming. I'm going to try to drop one every week. Also, let me know if you want to see more of the blogs or more of the vlogs. If I get a decent response on both, I'll just keep doing both. If one is vastly better than the other, then I'll just only do one so I don't have to waste my time on the other one. Alright guys, again, hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all in the next one.